What's going on, guys? Wait on everybody to get here. Make sure the sound's good. Can you guys hear me? How's the audio? What's up, guys? Doing good. How's everybody doing? How's the audio? I'm trying out a different headset. Audio good? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good, good, good. I've never used this one before, so. How's everybody doing today? It's Friday. Can't be all bad. Got a tropical storm brewing down in the Gulf of Mexico. I'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to talk about cosmic rays and how they might be affecting Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth is in a constant battle. You guys know that, right? Constant battle. It's holding its own. But when we go into solar minimum, a lot of us don't realize how important the solar wind is and how important sunspots are. So we're going to talk about that. Not necessarily sunspots, so to speak, but cosmic rays, how cosmic rays could be, and I think it's almost impossible for them not to be affecting or at least influencing Earth's atmosphere and these wild colors that we're seeing in the sky. These fabulous rainbows that we're seeing. We're seeing 3, 2 constantly, or at least on a consistent basis. 3, 4. I got a picture the other day of 5. So, is it from cosmic rays? Is it from a secondary source of light? You know, these are all things that should be considered because I know these pictures are legitimate. You guys are really seeing these things. I personally have not seen, like 3 or 4 rainbows. I've seen 2. But when I get pictures from you guys, which I greatly appreciate, and you can send those pictures to, let me see if I can switch it over here real quick. Sorry, that's where I've got my stuff. We'll come back to the photos here in a minute. That's just a long play video photo I've got going on. But no, you can send your pictures to reports. Most of you guys already know reports at MRMBB333.com. But could cosmic rays be influencing the weather? These wild clouds that you guys send me from all over the world? These wild colors that you guys send me from all over the world up in the sky? And something else that we're seeing all over the world are these triangle crafts. So are these triangle crafts monitoring something around Spaceship Earth that maybe we can't see from down here on the ground? Those are, I think, good questions. Because I get pictures probably, I don't know, not every day, but I get pictures probably at the very least multiple times a week of some sort of a triangle-shaped craft in the sky. Sometimes you guys get video, good video. And not only that, I've seen them myself. Right out here, you're looking at the Go 16 here on the screen right now. This is the infrared wavelength. It's one that I like to use. I'm familiar with it. You can see it right over here to my left. I have it on constantly. So I literally monitor what's going on weather-wise, at least in parts of Canada, Mexico, and North America, or the United States, all the time. I always have it running. But there's a storm brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical storm, probably at best. Won't make it to hurricane status because it doesn't have enough time. Good thing about this, it's moving quick. It's moving due north into areas that could use some rain. Probably going to see the majority of the rain up in Arkansas, eastern Tennessee, right above the New Madrid fault zone. Not that that really matters, but anytime there's flooding on the Mississippi River above the New Madrid, I always consider water weight in those areas, and especially the fluctuation of water weight and what they're talking about now, flash droughts. And so that's going to be an intense. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Calcutt. Appreciate that, man. Good job. Now, the water weight fluctuations. Don't you think that could influence the fault zones? Maybe that's what happened back in 1811 when there was a big quake that came from the New Madrid that rang church bells in Boston. Huh? Maybe there was a fluctuation in water weight. I don't know. It's just always a thought. But the storm system that we're looking at, almost a tropical storm, will go down to a tropical depression as it makes its way north at about 16 miles per hour. So it's moving along at a pretty good clip. So it's not going to have time to drop a lot of rain in one particular area. It's going to spread it out from southern Louisiana all the way up to southern Michigan, hang a right, go over towards New England, Nova Scotia, southern Canada, and then out to sea. So, going to bring some rain to parts of northern Georgia that have been experiencing drought conditions here lately, which is a good thing. Not going to be a hurricane. Winds probably won't even be a factor. Maybe a little bit, but not that much. Might see a few power outages. There's more power outages. We can look here at the website at the power outages map over in California. Starting to get them, those outages turned back on, I see. 43,000 now. Another wildfire this morning in Southern California. Right over here, and we saw that yesterday at VentureSky.com, at least the possibility. Wildfire in Southern California. There were winds last night of, and early this morning, of tropical storm force, and at sometimes there were gusts of near hurricane force. You're going to see here in a minute wildfires, a couple, one primarily right there, south and a little bit east of San Diego. See the smoke going offshore. Those occurred last night. Don't know the exact stats on them, but I do know that the wind is going to calm down a little bit this afternoon and into this evening, but pick back up Saturday and I think into Sunday. So those are the Santa Ana winds. You can tell by the direction of the smoke. The winds are blowing offshore. So when the winds come from the east-northeast, those are Santa Ana winds. Creates extremely dry conditions. All the vegetation becomes super dry and very flammable. So low humidity, high temperatures. It's been around 100 degrees. Parts of Los Angeles, Anaheim, they've had wildfires north of there, up north of Santa Rosa. Back to the Gulf of Mexico, you can see where there's weather warnings in the Gulf, Mississippi, Alabama, near Mobile, parts of southern Louisiana. What is that? I'm at windy.com. Flash flood watch. Like I said, the storm's moving very quickly. They might see 2 to 4 inches of rain, but unless it all comes down in an hour's time, that's easily manageable. So it shouldn't be a problem because the storm or the potential storm. It hasn't got there yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. It's going to be moving really quick. So anytime a hurricane or a tropical storm is moving fast in a forward motion, that's a good thing. Tornado watch in all of the areas you see right there in southern Alabama, southern Mississippi. Tornado watch till 5 p.m. tonight. Flash flood watch until 7 a.m. Saturday morning. All of these areas here, especially in red. That would be southern Alabama and southeastern Mississippi. What else are they calling for? That's pretty much it. Not anything to do with high winds or anything like that. Possible tornado because of the convective nature of this system. Yep, that's right, in the Slidell area. That's true. Slidell, Hattiesburg. You guys need to be on alert. But you're used to it though. You're probably, most of you that live in that area were familiar with Katrina. Katrina's big thing was the levees. Katrina made landfall as a Cat 3. Michael made landfall over here in the Florida Panhandle as a Cat 5. And it did not have the storm surge that Katrina did because of the low sea level position of New Orleans. And that still to this day is an issue, and it's never going to change, at least the sea level of New Orleans. They can build, stronger levees and have bigger pumps to pump the water out, but if the water comes down at a rate faster than it can keep up with, let's say it starts raining at a rate of 2 or 3 inches an hour, which you're going to see here at this map at windy.com, 2 or 3 inches an hour. I'm not saying that it's going to. Probably, as fast as this storm is moving, an inch an hour. Yeah, about an inch an hour. So the pump systems in New Orleans should be able to handle any type of water from this tropical storm. But there's still flash flood warnings for the areas you see in red and orange. So storm surge, I think that's what this is here. The yellow, trying to get it to come in. I'm at windy.com. That's moderate. That's a moderate weather alert. Orange is severe. Red is extreme. And this goes all the way down into near the Yucatan Peninsula in southern Mexico. So it's a pretty good size system, but it's not going to have time to get organized to become a named storm. It might get a name, I don't know, but it won't last for very long. It'll go back down to a tropical depression really quick and then move right along this path here you see of orange, going up through western Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, the boot heel of Missouri, right down in here, and that's exactly where the New Madrid's at. All of pretty much Louisiana and Mississippi, except for the northwestern part of Louisiana. But Hattiesburg, Slidell, of course New Orleans, the pump systems will be tested today, tonight, and into the early morning hours of tomorrow. So I have a feeling though that they'll manage because the storm is moving so quick. So should be fine, but nevertheless it's something to keep an eye on. Well, thank everybody for stopping by. Thank you, the doctor. Appreciate that. Oh, if you guys haven't, I'll show this a couple of times during this live stream. Where are we at here? Let me switch gears here for just a minute. This calendar, I'm really impressed with how they came out. This is the Sky Phenomena calendar for 2020 that you guys hear me talk about all the time. And when I say I have one, I actually have one hanging behind me right back there, right underneath that clock. But I brought it over here to show you guys. It is an excellent quality calendar. They did a good job with the construction of this thing. It's made out of photo paper. It's not paper. It's a really good calendar. And had a heck of a time even finding a place that did it. Found this place here called createphotocalendar.com, and they did an excellent job, no joke. Here's several pictures. I think there's over 70, quite possibly near 80, of unique sky phenomena photos that have been sent in by you guys from all around the world. Credited right here on the back page. There's your name. You guys did it, man. So we're already starting the process for another calendar for 2021. I'm just putting photos in a folder. I'm not putting the calendar together yet. We're not even into 2020. But if you want to order one, you can order it right here. They'll mail it directly to your house. I'll put the link. Actually, the link's in the description box below. You can order a calendar. You can order a shirt if you like. In fact, I have one on. This, too, is a good quality shirt. Came right from here. It's not thin. It's not too thick. It's just right. It's not a cheap-made shirt. So, double thumbs up to createphotocalendars.com. Not only do they create good calendars, they create good shirts. And that coffee mug you see right there changes color. It's really wild. Got one of those just to check out the stuff. You know, I don't like to sit here and you know, show these things to you guys if I don't have some sort of knowledge about them. And that coffee mug changes color when you put coffee in it. Really kind of cool. So something to just consider. That's all. It is a neat calendar. We're getting close to 2020. And most of us use calendars. I know I do. All right, guys, where are we going from here? Back to Wendy. I've got some other things I want to share with you guys. Oh, yeah, I wanted to touch on cosmic rays. Do you think... Thank you, Paula. I'm going to try to keep up with the comment section. Niagara Falls. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate that. That's very kind. Donation from Paula. Donation from Vernades Astronomics. Thank you. Thank you for your kindness. What do you guys think about cosmic rays? If you've been following the cosmic ray increase over the last, actually 3 years, since we've been kind of plunging into solar minimum, so to speak, there's also been an increase in cosmic rays. Reason being, as I talked about earlier, the solar wind. We need the right amount of solar wind to deflect cosmic rays from other parts of the solar system that our atmosphere and our biosphere doesn't necessarily like, you know. So without the strength, density, and the sunspots, those cosmic rays can intrude and make residence in the atmosphere of planet Earth. I think it affects UVA-B and UVC. UVC we've been measuring at ground level for what, 2 years now? When we first started doing UV readings in 2016, we were not getting UVC readings. We started getting them in 2018 and 2019. And that was confirmed by a team of Harvard scientists in 2018, the detection of UVC at ground level. So, could it be that cosmic rays are allowing that? And once we come out of solar minimum, that will dissipate and go away. Because let's face it, you guys are sending me some of the wildest photographs from all around the world of very unusual colors. And I know that the colors are a lot of times influenced by frequencies. I get that. I totally understand that. But are the frequencies being influenced by cosmic rays? You know, there's a chain of command, and everything is connected, and one thing influences another. You know, there's nothing that's independent all by itself. You know, like we're all connected in a way. You know, but there's just things that we don't fully understand yet. But I do think the cosmic rays are influencing the things not only that we see in the skies, these really unusual clouds that we're seeing, these unusual colors, but they're influencing weather patterns, weather extremes. How many weather records were set in 2019 with regard to wild temperature swings? There were days that we had 70-degree temperature swings in a 24-hour period. I mean, it's almost unheard of. So, scorching temperatures in the southeastern United States clear up into October. 90-degree days set record after record after record. In Georgia, Alabama saw multiple 100-degree days. Tennessee, and that's what created, they called it a flash drought. And it's still in drought stage. It's not out of drought yet. Working on it though, with the arrival of this tropical storm, then the drought will not completely go away because they're not going to get enough rain. Some areas, like say for instance Tallahassee, last I checked, Tallahassee was about 18 inches below average for the yearly rainfall total. So I think a lot of that is being influenced by the increase in cosmic rays inside Earth's atmosphere. But Earth is in a perpetual battle with some sort of cosmic ray, sun rays, whether it be from the sun or cosmic rays from deep space. And if you look around at our neighbors, they probably too once battled cosmic rays for eons. But Earth is unique with respect to its neighbors. And that's why Earth is the only planet that has an atmosphere, is because it has surface water. I think there's probably other orbs in our cosmic community that have water. It's just not on the surface. It's like in a ballast tank, and that's what allows it to orbit around the sun. I think it has to have water somewhere, or it probably wouldn't be here. So most of the orbs probably have water. Ours is just on the surface, allowing us to have O3 in the upper levels of the atmosphere. O3 is ozone, and ozone allows just the right amount of ultraviolet radiation to penetrate the atmosphere. But for some reason, UVC, that's a shortwave frequency, shortwave ultraviolet getting through the atmosphere. So don't really know why. I don't think anybody fully does. I mean, like I said, a team of Harvard scientists did a study on UV, not only UVA, but UVA and B, and yes, UVC also, and it's getting through the atmosphere. So it's not something that's normal, so it's going to create plant mutations. Like you're going to see probably different breeds of plants, different species of sea creatures. I mean, it's going to open up, you know, a small Pandora's box. You've got a different type of I guess a different type of unseen force that's influencing the molecules of planet Earth, and these molecules are going to respond differently to UVC, shortwave ultraviolet radiation. And it starts at the molecular level, and it turns into these incredible clouds and these wild things that you guys are sending me on a daily basis. I mean, I'm getting so many emails now, it's difficult to get to them all. So I apologize if I haven't got to your emails. I really want to get to all of them. But I'm telling you, you guys fill that inbox every day with between 100 and 200. So being one person and trying to do research and stuff like that, which I love to do, you know, it's impossible to get through them all. And then when I do get to them, I respond to you guys and I thank you. And that comes from me. I don't have anybody do that. That comes straight from me. And I sincerely appreciate what you guys do. You show me the world every day in ways that I wouldn't see. You know, if it weren't for your cameras, your alertness, and when I say that you're wide awake and on the ball, I really mean it. You guys are. You're good. You're good. Thank you. Good job. So, got one more, probably through this hurricane season, tropical storm season in the northern hemisphere. I don't know if this one will get a name. Let me update the page here. The darker you see here, let me go back to the Go 16. I want to show you something. We'll come back to that slideshow in a minute. That's an hour and 30-minute long slideshow, so there's plenty to see on there. But in the northern hemisphere, you're looking at probably the last tropical storm of the 2019 tropical storm hurricane season. As we are going back down below the ecliptic, daytime light is minimizing now. The window is closing with regard to how much light we have during each day. When we are at peak light, we are at peak solar radiation. We're also at peak hurricane season. So that's no coincidence. That daytime heating creates cyclones not only in the northern hemisphere, but in the southern hemisphere. Now that we're going back under the ecliptic, it's no coincidence that cyclone season is about to begin in the southern hemisphere when they encounter their maximum daytime light during their summer. Just like when we're experiencing summer and into the early fall, that's when we have our hurricane/cyclone season, typhoon season. There weren't as many typhoons this year over in the western Pacific as there was last year. Last year there was one after another after another. This year didn't see quite as many. We did see quite a few over here in the Atlantic. Most of them did not make landfall, which was good. I tell you what, that Dorian went right up the coast, the East Coast, totally rearranged the northern Bahamas forever. That place will never be the same. That was a terrible situation. I'd never seen a hurricane do that. So again, it goes back to cosmic rays. Our cosmic rays increasing the strength of some of these storms and longevity. Cosmic rays have been entering the atmosphere and increasing for the last few years. Look at Irma back in 2017. Irma set a world record for the longevity as a Category 5. I mean, it was, 36 hours as a high-end Category 5 hurricane? Some people called it a Category 6. Just saying that. I mean, there's no Category 6, but it lasted so long and so strong. Some people said it could have been if there was a Category 6. And then here come Dorian. And then we saw, what Harvey did. And some of these storms like Francis and Harvey and Imelda this year stall. This storm here you're looking at, it's not going to stall. It's moving right along, so that's a good thing. So it's bringing some rain. That's good. We always need a certain amount of rain. That's what makes things go round, man. We got to have rain. So no matter how we get it, whether it's through a fast-moving tropical storm, we don't want it through a slow-moving tropical storm because that's when we get the mega flooding. We don't want to see that. But that's what Harvey did. And Harvey started in that same general area as that storm is you're looking at right now. Back during peak daytime lighting. August 29th. Hurricane season is 180 days from June 1st to November 30th. And now that we're into the end of October, going into November, very rarely do we see cyclones / hurricanes in the northern hemisphere during this time frame, because daytime lighting is slowly, the window of daytime lighting is slowly closing. It's getting smaller. So the chances for hurricane formation also is getting smaller. But it's getting bigger as the window is opening in the southern hemisphere. They call them cyclones, and they rotate clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Storms in the northern hemisphere counterclockwise. But we've seen 4 years in a row now Category 5 storms. And if you look back in time, there's been large storms on August the 29th. August the 29th is the 90-day mark of 180-day hurricane season, right directly in the middle. Saw Katrina, Harvey, Gustav, Dorian, and there was another one. There was 5 that went back just over the last 12 years or so. August 29th, peak, and that's when Earth is at maximum daytime lighting. So that maximum daytime lighting also includes cosmic rays, but not limited to just at daytime lighting. You know, they can encompass the Earth at any time, day or night. But this storm here we're looking at, it came on pretty quick. That area in the Gulf of Mexico, in the western Gulf of Mexico, has been active all week. There was, I don't know if they keep records of lightning totals in the Gulf of Mexico, but on Monday, there was a staggering amount of lightning in the west central part of the Gulf of Mexico. Something crazy like 10 to 12,000 strikes in a 15-minute period, right in that same area, actually, back on Monday. And then that area of energy went back south, down into Mexico, or along the coast, and now it's coming back north, I think, as a different system. But boy, did it contain lightning earlier in the week. Never seen anything like it. It's not at least that dense. Kind of like the lightning in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Back on October 20th, I received another video today or yesterday from a gentleman. I've got it on my desktop. I don't have it up now, but I'll share it in the next video I put up, of more colored lightning from the Dallas-Fort Worth area on October 20th. Purple, green, blue, pink, red, and they weren't transformers. At first, I honestly thought they were. The first video that I got from a gentleman named Zeeb, and it was like a big blue pulse, and I've been in hurricanes right over here in Florida. I've seen them. I've seen them transformers go one after another. When Hurricane Charlie went through Central Florida back in 2004, and I was watching those big blue flashes right out my window, looking out across the South Orlando metro area. So I know what they look like. So when I saw the first one, I'm like, okay, maybe that's a transformer, you know, an electrical transformer. Then I saw the red one, and I'm like, well, maybe they're making them out of something different today. You know, maybe they're trying something new. I don't know. Then I started getting more and more video from multiple different angles, from the northeast, from the east, and no, wasn't transformers. It was straight up colored lightning, all kinds of different colors. And again, it goes back to cosmic rays. Are cosmic rays influencing electromagnetic energy around the Earth? Probably, yeah. Yeah, it comes from the atmosphere, right? So more than likely, yes. Yeah, I had a young lady by the name of Jocelyn that sent me 3 videos of lightning from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that she said was so captivating she couldn't quit watching it. Just kept videoing it for the longest time. So an incredible storm that, honestly, I watched the storm on this very instrument you're looking at right now. And it did not look like anything out of the ordinary. No joke. And for it to produce multiple tornadoes and that crazy lightning, honestly, it was just orange going through the Dallas northeastern part of Texas. It was running, the storm system was running northeast to southwest, all through north central Georgia or Texas, kind of like where the green and blue's at right now, but it was orange. Blacks that you see on here are the real tall 50, 60,000 footers. These were down in the 30, 40,000 foot range. They weren't these gigantic supercell thunderstorms. So that's why it kind of, not only it caught me by surprise with the amount of tornadoes, and then one being an EF3, the storm system on radar, at least from this perspective, did not look that strong. Not even close. So I was very surprised to hear that, because I watch this all the time, and I'm familiar with what these storms look like that are very strong, especially once they make their way over land. Like this one's got that black and white even at times. Those things are reaching incredible heights, and a lot of time height equates to strength. But right now what we're having is a collision of cold air and hot air, and I think that's what happened in Texas. That's why the storms didn't necessarily look super impressive on the satellite or the infrared radar, because we couldn't see necessarily the cold air. I'm talking really cold air colliding with warmer air, and then that created convection. Convection turns into tornadoes sometimes, not all the time, but it'll turn into a rotating supercell that can then produce a rotating vortex that we know as a tornado. So sometimes when they reach incredible heights, the higher up they go, the higher they lift water up into the atmosphere, into the supercooled air. That supercooled air turns those water molecules into a solid, which we know as hail. So it can be transferred from a liquid to a solid and then back down to earth in the form of hail, which, depending on how big it is, can do damage not only to crops and vegetation, but to your car, to your house. And then from a solid, when it gets back down into the air that we're used to down here at ground level, it goes back to a liquid. Water is quite fascinating. If you think about it, it can be in 3 phases at the same time: a solid, liquid, and a gas. Cloud form, it's in a vapor floating in the air. Liquid, it falls to the ground, roams around the earth, and creeks, rivers, streams, lakes, and oceans. And then it freezes at the poles, or it freezes just above the equator in the higher latitudes during the peak light months, which we recognize as winter. So we're going into our winter as we're diving below the ecliptic plane, and we'll be in winter for about 3 or 4 months up here. Last year we saw an abundance of snow. I don't know about this year. Maybe, who knows? It's solar minimum, so probably anything's on the table. And we'll be in solar minimum for another year, year and a half, before we even start thinking about heading back towards solar maximum. So those two things, solar maximum and solar minimum, definitely have an impact on not only planet Earth, but all of the planets in the solar system. But we're not on the other planets in the solar system, so we don't know how they behave or respond to the changes in the sun. Most of them don't have a visible atmosphere like Earth does. Venus does, but it's very volatile on Venus. A lot of active volcanoes and very hot. but doesn't have the type of atmosphere we have. We have surface water. If we didn't have surface water, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. It's just that simple. There's no way. That surface water is part of Earth's shields. Surface water. You bet. If we didn't have surface water, there's no way it could stand the constant bombardment of solar wind. There's just no way. Sorry, guys. Got to get a drink. Sorry about that. But yeah, tropical storm moving up into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I think I had something up here on windy. There's the extremes in the reds, severe, orange, going up into even Kentucky, parts of southern Illinois. Over here in northern California, northern and southern, like I showed you earlier, the Santa Ana winds are whipping up. And what they're doing, Pacific Gas out in California, they're turning off electricity before the winds even start blowing. So they're trying to minimize the amount of wildfires potentially caused by down power lines. So what they're doing in California, that's why we're seeing so many power outages when there's no weather or wildfires underway. It's because they're trying to minimize the amount of wildfires by turning the power off. But unfortunately, it's kind of a double-edged sword, so to speak. They're turning the power off, and it is, in some cases, I saw a gentleman that runs a restaurant. All of his stock that he had in his freezer and refrigerator, which he ran a fish store, fish and chips, he lost all of his inventory because the power was off for 3 days. People that are on oxygen and things like that, they should be given a heads up, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's, got its advantages and disadvantages, but I don't know. I'm sure there were more instances than just the one that I saw, but yeah, they're trying to keep the wildfires under control by turning the power off before a power line goes down. So probably not a bad idea, but people maybe need like a heads up, a big heads up. But I guess sometimes these winds, when they arrive, don't give us a big warning or a big advance before they show up, the Santa Ana winds. In fact, let's see if I can pull up the Santa Ana winds. Let's see. Whoop. There they are. There's the hot temperatures over there in California. Near 100 degrees in the Los Angeles area today. 97, 98, 92 around Anaheim. The fires are down here north of San Diego. And you can see the winds. Let's check out the wind speed. This morning it was showing wind speeds of tropical storm force over here east of Ramona. In fact, at the beginning of the San Andreas. Let's see here. Wind gusts. What do they look like right now? This is at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Not too bad right now. Still 30, 38, 36 in Southern California, north of Los Angeles. 30, 26. Very hot over there right now. And here you can see the wind gusts down here from this tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. And again, I'm at adventuresky.com. Strong winds coming into the Montana area. North and South Dakota coming in from southern Canada. Let's look at tomorrow. See what the Santa Anas are doing tomorrow. Last night they started overnight while people were sleeping. Not too bad. Let's look at Sunday. Oh, wow. Here they come again. Not good. Especially in Northern California. Oh, man. Look at that. 77 mile per hour wind gust. 86. Are you seeing that right there? This is forecasted for Sunday. Overnight, again, at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you're in the Sacramento area, west of Sacramento, that's kind of the same area that saw a lot of the wildfires back in the Camp Wildfire. Remember that last year? It's kind of hard to forget. But that would be around 3 a.m. Winds absolutely howling at hurricane force. 88 mile per hour gusts are predicted Sunday night, or actually Sunday morning, during the overnight hours of Sunday. That would be October 27th. Unbelievable. Wow, those are some strong winds, guys. No joke. 2 a.m. Looks like they get progressively stronger from 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the same areas. 70, 80 mile an hour gusts. And they stay that way for a few hours. Look at that. 75, 6 a.m. Now the sun's getting ready to come up. Very strong up in the elevations at 100 miles an hour. Look at that. But that's up at the top of the Sierra Nevada, so that's actually not unheard of. But you're seeing it right here, and this is normally pretty accurate. I use VentureSky.com for a lot of my wind research, and it's normally right on the money or very, very close. I followed some winds over in the Swiss Alps one time that I could not believe were reaching wind speeds of like 150 miles per hour, and it did verify it, predicted it well beforehand, and it was accurate. Very, very solid information at VentureSky.com. Here's some more wind speeds for Sunday at 7 a.m. Well over 100 miles per hour. And that's again at the top of the Sierra Nevadas. But you're talking about the same area that saw the Camp Fire, that near Chico, Paradise. They're not going to see winds of 80 mile an hour, but 30 mile an hour gusts, which are still respectable winds between Santa Rosa and Sacramento. 80 mile an hour gusts are going to be commonplace between 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, all the way up through 7 a.m. Oh, wow. The darker the burgundy, the higher the wind. 108? Are you serious? 100. Look at that. 116 mile an hour, 119? That is absolutely nuts. And that's up, but again, that's up in the elevations though. Top of the Sierra Nevadas. But that is very windy. There's people that live up there. Again, between Sacramento and Santa Rosa, 80 mile an hour wind gusts. If you guys are watching from this area or know anybody that's watching in this area, more than likely this is going to occur. This is a very solid venue to get, especially this type of information. More than likely that will verify. There will be 80 mile an hour wind gusts between Sacramento and Santa Rosa Sunday night early during the overnight hours. Unbelievable. Hold on just a second, guys. Thank you, Red Dew Girl. That's very kind. I appreciate that. Red Dew Girl. All right, guys. Big heads up. Pay attention to this wind because it's very dry. Humidity levels are in the single digits in some places, especially in northern and central California. Again, this wind is going to remain. Look at that, a 95 mile an hour potential wind gust. 9 a.m. Sunday morning between Sacramento and Santa Rosa. Wow, that's hurricane force for many hours. Wind gusts now up in the elevations, 119, 117, 118. Honestly, that doesn't surprise me. I've seen that before. We're talking very strong winds down in the North Sacramento Valley. 80, they're again between 80 and 90 miles per hour west of Yuba City. Now this is going now on 10 hours straight of wind gusts. Here's 71. You're looking at it yourself, and more than likely, like I said, this will verify. It will happen, or at least somewhere close, relatively close to the numbers you're seeing right here. Maybe a little weaker, maybe a little stronger. But normally this is a very good source of information. That's why I use it. Noon on Sunday. Once again, you've got the Santa Ana winds. You can see what direction they're coming from, howling across the Sierra Nevadas, upper 80s, 90 mile an hour, coming down into the valley area. Persistent 80 mile an hour winds, 60, 70, 80. Now, these are gusts, but more than likely, they will verify. And there you can see the storm already moving out of the Mississippi River Valley out into the Atlantic Ocean. So that storm is going to move very, very quickly through the Gulf of Mexico. But Santa Ana winds are going to remain a force for the next few days. The only thing about this, it uses a lot of energy. You got to get on and off this pretty quick, because this is a big website. It has a lot of very good information, but it takes a lot of horsepower to run it. Okay. I just want to see how much longer these winds are going to last. It looks like all day on Sunday. The burgundies, these light burgundy colors we're looking at are 70, 80 mile an hour wind gusts, 100 mile wind, 90 mile an hour wind gusts. This is at 1 o'clock on Sunday, 2 o'clock on Sunday, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So by 7 p.m., things will slow down a little bit, but the yellows are still 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, which are very capable of creating wildfires. That's what we're seeing right now. Still strong winds on the top of the Sierra Nevadas. All day on Sunday, guys. Clear up into 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the Northern California area. Very high winds all day long. Let's look at Monday real quick since we're here. Okay, that's Monday night. Let's look at Monday midnight. Unbelievable push of winds. Yeah, you guys need to be on high alert over there. That's mainly in the Northern California area, deep Southern California on Monday night during the overnight hours. Once again, wind gusts, not sustained, but in the 60, 65 mile an hour range. 2 a.m. This is overnight on Monday night. Winds still very strong between Sacramento and Santa Rosa for over 24 hours. So that's the Santa Ana winds too. They come out of the northeast. So once again, we'll probably see more power outages in Northern California starting, I'm just assuming, the way that things have been going now, they'll probably do more power outages, especially with those types of wind gusts, to minimize wildfires from power lines. That will probably happen again. So just be ready, guys. Very strong winds starting Saturday night late, all day Sunday, and into the early morning hours of Monday, right in here. North of San Francisco, between Santa Rosa and Sacramento, right in there. Big, big heads up. Let's take a look at, since we're here, do I still have windy up? No, I don't have windy up. Let's go back to the Gulf of Mexico. What's up, guys? I appreciate y'all stopping in. Appreciate your kindness. Greetings. Carol Palmer. Thank you, Carol. That was very kind of you. If you guys know anybody in the California, especially Northern California area, Sacramento, you guys are probably maybe well aware of this. If you live in this area, I'm sure that they're already talking about it. But VentureSky.com, I can't emphasize enough, is a great source of information, and it's normally very accurate. I'll see things on here that I may be surprised by, especially future models that show, I've seen on here before winds that verified that were over 100 mile an hour, and one place was the Sierra Nevadas, and this was like a couple of years ago. And I'm like, nah, there's no way. Oh, yes way. And it was in December when it did it. Winds of, and it created drifts, snow drifts. I remember the snow drifts were so huge in the Truckee area of the Sierra Nevadas because of the 100 mile an hour winds. And they certainly did verify. All right, I wanted to check out this storm that's rolling through. See how quick it's going to go through. This is Sunday. Here's tomorrow. We're looking at the wind associated with this storm, this tropical storm. Saturday at, let's go, 5 a.m. Makes landfall, goes through the New Orleans area. See how quickly it's going through. And it's only going to have wind gusts of 50, 57 miles per hour. Quite a large wind field, I will say, going all the way from southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, all the way up into the Nashville, Clarksville, Tennessee area. And that's what, 300 or 400 miles? That's a pretty good sized wind field, but watch how quick it moves. We're going to go from 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, wait a minute, Saturday morning, to 5 p.m. Watch. It's all the way up north of Tennessee now. That's kind of like the center of rotation of this thing. That's how quick it's moving. By midnight, way up near southern Canada. And then we're going to go over into Sunday. And then by Sunday morning at 6 a.m., that thing's up in the New England area offshore. That's how quick it's going to move through. And then if you look in the Louisiana, Alabama area, it's all calm in less than 36 hours. So it's going to move very quickly. So it's not going to have a lot of time to drop a whole lot of rain. I mean, it's going to be sprinting through the Mississippi River Valley, Ohio River valleys. Sprinting. So a couple of inches, maybe 3. It's a pretty good size system. Where are we at? Here we go. Yeah, see how it's pretty good size? But it is a sprinter. Very fast moving system. And as far as anything else out here in the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean, we'll take a quick peek. Not much happening as far as tropical storms are concerned. Those waves that come off of the west coast of Africa that can sometimes turn into hurricanes. Yeah, there's waves coming off, but one of the things that influences those waves and gets them heated up, so to speak, and cranking in a counterclockwise motion, which can sometimes turn into a tropical storm, that's that daytime heating. And now that we're back under the ecliptic and the daytime heating window is getting smaller and smaller each day, those waves that are coming off the west coast of Africa really have no chance of turning into hurricanes. I'm not saying that it's impossible, because trust me, in this day and age, anything's possible. We're seeing some titanic rotating systems up in the North Atlantic, absolutely huge. So, but as far as anything here off the west coast of Africa, that's where Irma came from. Irma started right over here, just off of the west coast of Africa, made a 4,000-mile journey to the southern Florida coast. All the way. And during that journey, it spent 36 hours as a Category 5 storm. All the way. Never ran into any wind shear, at least any significant wind shear. Wind shear will tilt a hurricane, cause it to tilt. Hurricanes like to be vertical, so they can breathe. They like to reach up. Well, if they run into wind shear, it pushes them off to the side, at least the top part of the vortex. And that's why it'll go down from, say, a category 5, 4, and it'll go down to maybe a category 1. In some cases, if the wind field is big enough, if the wind shear extends for hundreds of miles, it can totally wipe out a tropical storm or hurricane. So Irma set a record, went 4,000 miles, made the entire journey all the way across the Atlantic Basin, coast to coast, nonstop. Unbelievable, never seen anything like it. I saw Irma come off that west coast, and when I saw it, I went ahead and did a video about it, and sure enough, it turned into, it was an overachiever, let's put it that way. I really wasn't sure what it was going to do at that particular point. I don't think anybody does, because it's so far out in the Atlantic, but it developed a name really, really quickly, which was rare. Right off the bat, it got a name, and it kept that name for, I think, 2 weeks, over 2 weeks. So this storm here, though, I don't see after this anything else that looks like even a candidate for a tropical storm. But you never know, you know. I mean, it happens. It happens. So more than likely, though, hurricane season is coming to a close for 2019 in the northern hemisphere, is about to begin in the southern hemisphere. If you're in New Zealand, Australia, in fact, I think there's a storm right now. I don't have it up, and I don't have it on the goes west, but there's actually that goes east. But there's a storm in the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, that, if I'm not mistaken, has a chance to become a Cat 4, at least for a while. I don't think it's going to make landfall as a Category 4 into the northeast part of Africa. Quite possibly in the Gulf of, I think, the Gulf of Arabia. I've seen storms go in there before, but very, very rare. But there is a storm in that area. But other than that, I don't think there's too much besides a typhoon off the coast of Japan. Not too much going on in the northern hemisphere, which is good. We don't want storms slamming into the coast as Cat 5s. We don't like to see that, but it's just how the earth functions, you know. And those hurricanes and typhoons and cyclones, they have a purpose. They actually do. It's quite interesting. They actually have a job, like thunderstorms and clouds and the jet stream. You know, without the jet streams, we wouldn't have weather patterns and rain and different types of things that we need for balance. If the jet streams stayed the same all the time, the earth would become imbalanced. So they have to change, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. All right, what's going on over here, guys? I've got the chat room open over here. It's kind of difficult to do both, and I apologize for that, but I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Looks like, there we go. Sun Dancer, I just want to say hi to you guys for stopping by. Misty, Sarah, Poppy Star, Teresa. Some of these names here sound familiar. Toy, Sharon, Howie. Just going through a few because I know you guys have sent me some incredible pictures, and keep them coming. For real. I certainly enjoy looking at the pictures you guys send. I know the gallery's getting big. It's right here at the website, the Sky Phenomena Photo Gallery, and all the photos, and I want to emphasize that I get to, because I think you guys know that I don't get to all of the emails every single day. I try. Trust me, I really do try, because I'm very grateful for all the pictures that you guys send in. It's like Christmas. I like to open them up and see what you guys are seeing, because you guys show me the world, and you guys show me parts of the world that I'll never see. I get pictures from, Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Australia. I'll never get to those places, but you guys bring them to me in very unique ways. Some fascinating stuff, and I mean fascinating, out of this world. And I know you guys are equally as enthused about this stuff you're seeing in the sky as I am. I know you are. In fact, let me click on the gallery here real quick. Just open it up and show you what we got going on. There's some incredible stuff in here. A lot of sun, a lot of sky stuff, all kinds of colors from all ends of the color spectrum. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Quite possibly these colors are being influenced by cosmic rays, like this one here out of West Virginia. Just an example. This was sent in by Sharon. I think that's Sharon. Yeah, Sharon K. Look at that. You've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you can see. I think there's a 6th one there. But do you see that? Really? 6 or 5? Let's say 5. We'll keep it at 5. 5 rainbows. Are we on Earth? I'm just saying. Growing up as a kid, we played outside all the time. All day, especially during the summer months. It's just what we did. We didn't have video games to occupy our time inside and have fun. We found something to do outside. That's just what our parents, wanted us to do. Go outside and play. Never even saw a double. Like, here's a double. Because trust me, I would have remembered it. Look at that. Big, beautiful double-decker rainbow. That was sent in by, actually, from Wyandotte, Michigan. And you guys from Michigan, I'm telling you, you're on the ball. Michigan is full of watchmen and watchwomen. You guys are wide awake and on the ball up there. No joke. But what's creating 5 rainbows at one time? That's not a bogus picture, because that's not the first one I've got. I've got one that had almost 6. It was a little hard to see, so I didn't, present it as 6. It was 5, but it wasn't that one. It was another one somewhere amongst these over 2,000 pictures that you guys have magnificently witnessed throughout this planet that's changing before our very eyes. We are going through Earth changes. And the thing of it is, Earth has changed since its conception, just like you do. You've changed since your so have I. We change every day, just like the Earth. But when we're seeing these changes at an accelerated pace, it gets kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Like all these colors in the sky here. These were sent in by Wendy. And these are not up near the Arctic Circle. These colors shouldn't be anywhere around the Earth other than up near the Arctic Circle. But we'll talk about that in another video. But I get pictures like that of those colors in the clouds in the lower latitudes. And honestly, they really shouldn't be there. But again, I'm optimistic. I'm like, okay, it's part of solar minimum, these cosmic rays influencing the frequencies, which are creating these wild colors. Look at that picture sent from Wendy out of New Mexico, and that's the colors you saw. Same young lady out of New Mexico. That's at the 33-degree latitude. Normally, those types of colors you don't see below the 60-degree latitude. But there you go. They're right there. Just one after another, guys. They're beautiful. They are absolutely top-notch. Some of the best photographs of Earth right here in the entire world, taken by you guys. So I'm honored to open them up and show them to you in a video. What other people are showing me, it's just truly humbling, some of the stuff that we see through here, that you guys see. Just incredible. Amazing stuff. These big halos that we're seeing around the sun, you know? That's another thing. Growing up as a kid, maybe it's because of the location, but I grew up in the Midwest, but I don't remember seeing big halos like that around the sun, as a kid. That's something I would have remembered because I was always intrigued by the sky, even as a little guy. I'm more intrigued today, but even as a little boy, I was very intrigued by the sky, the heavens. Absolutely. This is kind of cool here, but this is just created by that cloud right there. That cloud is blocking the light that's casting up into the sky. That's not some sort of a big beam, even though that's what it looks like. It's like a big trumpet, but it's caused by a trick of light. And that's one thing you got to be careful when you're looking at photos, especially of the sun, and you see reflections or something in the sky that may look like something that's associated with the sun. Like this one here, you don't see that reflection that looks like a secondary sun. But anytime you're taking a photo of the sun with a camera, you're going to get reflection. Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time. Yeah, every single time. So expect it. It's going to happen. Like this one here is probably a good example. Yeah, you can see a reflection right there in the aperture of the camera. That's a typical smartphone reflection. That's an LG camera. I can tell by looking at the pattern of the reflection. I don't need to look at the camera to know what camera took the photo. That's an LG camera. An LG camera, not 99% of the time, 100% of the time, has red flower petals like you see right here that go in all directions like the face of a clock around the sun. Red flower petals. That's an LG. A smartphone has a umbrella orb, an orb that has an umbrella around it. A Samsung Galaxy phone has a single orb. Normally it's purple. Sometimes it's green. And that's what separates those three cameras, or those three main devices: Samsung Galaxy, smartphone, and LG. They all process extreme light from the sun just a little differently. And I've looked at so many pictures over the years, I can tell, just from looking at the pictures. So good job, guys. Keep them coming. I really do appreciate it. In fact, I enjoy it. I really do. But there's the gallery right there. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was going to look at some of the stuff that I had in my last video to share with you guys, but I don't even know where I've got it at right now. I'll bring it up again. The video just didn't go very far. I don't know what happened, but that's just the way it goes. But anyway, here's the website if you haven't checked it out, MRMBB333.com. I'm sure most of you have been here or at least heard about it, or are familiar with my website. Order your calendars, shirts up here at the white banner. We've got Yellowstone. We monitor the seismos at Yellowstone, the supervolcano. Kind of important, So that's something that we like to keep an eye on. And you can see activity around the caldera of the supervolcano, and that's where these seismos are positioned strategically around the caldera of Yellowstone. So that's that that link right there will take you to that information. Ancient Earth Globe. I just found this kind of interesting. That's why I have it up here. It's fun to look back in time at what the Earth supposedly looked like millions of years ago. The ionosphere, another important part of our experience on Spaceship Earth. So we monitor the ionosphere, especially during times of solar maximum. Don't see a whole lot of activity on here during solar minimum, but during solar maximum, you'll see that light up and start glowing reds and yellows when we're in direct contact with a CME from a solar eruption. But the sun has been extremely quiet, so not too much activity there here recently. The Schumann resonance, Sometimes we'll see activity on here that we don't know where it comes from. Earth has a unique frequency. It's measured in the Schumann resonance. It's in the 7.86 range. Sometimes you'll see spikes like this here that go up above 40. Sometimes these spikes will stay above 30 or 40 for an extended period of time. And don't really know why. You know, what causes the frequency of Earth to go up like that, you know? So, but you're seeing some activity here, and solar activity is pretty low. What's causing that? Cosmic rays of some sort, or, you know, maybe there's a coronal hole facing Earth. Coronal holes have a very big impact, not only on the Earth, but on me and you. I just showed you power outages. Here's real-time lightning around the world, just a click away. And you'll see, as we minimize our daytime lighting in the northern hemisphere, the lightning will transfer, or at least the majority of the lightning, will transfer below the equator, more into the southern hemisphere, not so much in the northern hemisphere. Lightning is more active during the summer months in the northern hemisphere, and in the winter months down in the southern hemisphere. They're getting ready to go into winter, and they're getting ready to go into summer, and we're getting ready to go into winter. And if you pay attention to that, you'll see that lightning move south of the equator, or at least the majority of it. All right, guys, let me go back to the storm here. I have rambled for, I think, well over an hour now. Hour and 15 minutes. Thank you guys for your contributions. I appreciate that, and thanks for stopping by. I don't like to sit here and just talk to myself, so sometimes I'll do a live stream and just talk about a wide variety of things that I may be looking at. Instead of doing a little video, I'll do a live stream and talk about that. But I wanted to bring up, I talked about it in my last video, that the Santa Ana winds in Southern California could be a potential issue, and they ended up creating a fire. Started last night during the overnight hours. I think it got up to around 4,000 acres or so, and they've kind of got it under control, or at least potentially got a good handle on it from what I hear. But Saturday night going into Sunday, I can't emphasize enough, in Northern California, the winds between Sacramento, right up here, look at that, Yuba City, south of Redding, including Redding. Redding just won't see the super high winds, but this model is not perfect. It's just like any of us. None of us are perfect. It's going to be close, though. I would bet on that. This is a very consistent source of information. They're very good, especially with wind. So if it's predicting 60 and 70 mile an hour wind gusts, pretty safe bet's going to happen. So between Sacramento, Santa Rosa, north of, what's this one here? Fairfield, not only north of Fairfield, but including Fairfield. The higher numbers you see there are way up in the top of the mountains, up in the Sierra Nevada. So honestly, that's not uncommon. But down here, the Santa Ana winds, honestly, they're not uncommon either. But to have wind gusts like that for a 24-hour period is going to be quite exceptional. Those are very strong winds. So just be alert, guys. I know somebody had a good point, and that's why if you share the information now, today's only Friday, the winds in Northern California aren't supposed to really pick up until, let's say, 1 o'clock midnight, Saturday night going into Sunday. So a little over 24 hours from now. People were saying that with the power being turned off, they weren't getting alerts about wildfires that had occurred in their area, which I thought, that does make sense, especially if your phone if you had no way to charge it, because your smartphones will alert you about anything you want these days. But they said without power for a couple of days, they did not know that there was a wildfire in their area. So, like I said, it's a tough call. I understand why they're shutting the power off to an area that's forecasted to get 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Yeah, I understand that. It actually kind of makes sense. But everybody in that area just needs to expect the power to go out and expect a wildfire. If it doesn't happen, hey man, that's great. That's what we want. We don't want it to happen. But this is telling us there's a good chance of very high winds. So just be ready, that's all. Just be ready. And here's what the Northern California wildfires looked like. 3 days ago? When the winds were howling up there, and then the wind field moved from Northern California to Southern California. Sure enough, created wildfires down there, but they did turn off the power to over 100,000 customers, which may have minimized the wildfires. I will probably never really know. But there were still wildfires, even though the electricity had been turned off. You're looking at the Kincaid wildfire. That was from, actually that video there is from early on the 24th. And here's a look at the Southern California wildfire that was from last night and actually early this morning. So with conditions being the same, quite possibly even more intense over the weekend for an extended period of time in that very area you're looking at, you could probably expect more of the same. So just expect it. If it doesn't happen, hooray. We don't want it to happen, all right? But we're just saying the chances are definitely there according to VentureSky.com. And I'm telling you, I've used VentureSky enough to where if it says it's going to happen, pretty good chance it's going to happen. I have a lot of respect for VentureSky. I've used it a lot all over the world, following weather patterns, weather changes, and this thing is super accurate. No kidding. Remember these dark sky objects at the stadium in Carolina? I just put this video in as a closing video. I still don't know what these were. This is a legitimate video sent in by a father and his son at a football game. And they're sitting at the top of the stadium, and his son noticed these things too off in the distance. And he asked his dad, what are those things? And you're going to see it come into the field of view right there to the right of those stadium lights. And the lights actually make them difficult to see. So it was kind of giving them a camouflage. So it was like, okay, they're going to go up behind these lights. The lights are so bright, they're going to prevent people from seeing them. But this guy saw it, and so did his son. And his son was very intrigued, and they were too big to be drones. Not only that, they were hovering. There's actually two that show up there. There's the one, and then there's a secondary one. They make no sound, and they're using the bright lights as a form of camouflage. Really a cool video. I wanted to just share that again in case you guys hadn't seen that. I posted that back a few weeks ago. That's a legitimate video. Everything I put up, to the best of my knowledge, is legitimate. I got no reason to put up stuff that isn't. All you got to do is go outside and look up. Just go look up. But no, this here was a very intriguing video. Still don't know what that was. And neither do they. And they're from the area. They go to these games. They've never seen anything like it. And there's a second one that comes into the picture right there. And like I said earlier, they're almost using those lights as a form of camouflage to block their potential view. Really wild. Again, you know, it's something that I'd never seen anything quite like it, and neither had he. The father was running the camera, and his son was sitting right to his left. He kept asking him, "What is that, Dad? What is that, Dad?" Then there was a lady to his right that saw them too, and she was equally as intrigued as they were. So there's a close-up of it right there. Keep your eyes to the skies, guys. Eyes to the skies. You are wide awake and on the ball. Well, listen, I'm going to have to get off here. I wanted to leave you with that video. Computer is starting to get warm. I've got so many windows open and running, but that was a really neat observation right there. Look at that. And it's just sitting there, quiet as a mouse. Just incredible. And people are seeing these things all over the world. It's just one of many examples. And what I'm doing right here, I'm putting it in different formats just to potentially get a different look at this thing. Maybe pull forward, you know, some features, whatever. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Neither did they. They noticed it and put the camera on it. Here I actually adjusted it and put it in the light to try to see if it took up space, and it did. You're going to see the dark shadow that it creates. Now that's a filter that I used, but it is occupying space. That's what that is telling us. So there was something solid there. Absolutely, 100%. What it was, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine or anybody else's. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. Be careful. Big heads up if you're in Northern California, as the Santa Ana winds are going to be howling this